Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman!
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family. Welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Please visit our website, holybatcast.com. It's your one-stop shopping for all things Holy BatCast. You can also find us all over the internet, all over social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. If you're also a fan of the show, would like to help support the show, we are on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. And as always, the hugest of thank yous to our patrons. Plus, we're a proud part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. So if you want to check out some of the other shows that are part of the network, you can do that at rf4rm.com. As always, I'm your host, Andy DiGenova, and if you'd like to follow me when I'm not talking about Batman, you can do that on Twitter and on Instagram at Andy DiGenova. It's just my name, super easy. Now, this episode, we are going to be reviewing the new DC animated film, Batman Ninja. We're going to review another episode of Batman the Animated Series, and then we're going to answer your questions in the Wayne Manor mailbox. Joining me, I have a couple partners in crime this week, which is super exciting. First of all, the Jason Todd to my Dick Grayson, because he's just a little crankier. It's Jamie Drewley. Hey, Jamie.
You're definitely a dick for calling me Jason Todd. There's no doubt about that.
Well, you'll be okay. How you doing, aside from that?
Long day, so bear with me. I'm just trying to get through this episode because this is not going to be fun for me.
You're going to have a good time because we're here for you.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And we're talking about Batman.
Uh-huh. Well, sort of.
All right. Well, kind of, sort of. Anyway, also joining us, if I'm Dick Grayson and Jamie's Jason Todd, this is Barbara Gordon from Down Under, Brendan Lowe.
Hello, I'm back again. I thought you were going to introduce Jamie for this episode in particular as he was the Jason Todd to your crowbar.
Oh, yeah. In this case, it might be more accurate, but
yeah.
I was just going Bat Family.
Well, hey, yeah, I'm back. 2 weeks in a row. It's been
2 weeks in a row. You have all this extra spare time for podcasting since you don't do your own anymore.
Right?
So we'll snatch you up from the nightlight. Awesome. And then also joining us, we have a first-timer. So we're going to call him our Damian Wayne. And because we're talking about Batman Ninja, this is a guy who is super into anime. And from the moment they announced Batman Ninja, he was all over it like Selena Kyle on a stolen diamond necklace. Yeah. But from the moment they announced this, he was like, hey, Batman Ninja. He's been super into it. So it seemed only fitting to have someone who already spoke the language as far as anime goes to chime in on that. And that is, I guess, yeah, he's Damien. It's Kevin Carignan. Hey, Kevin.
Ohio gozaimasu, Holy BatCast.
How you doing, man?
I am doing fantastic. I am so happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you, and because it's your first time on the show, as is tradition, can you tell us what's your favorite Batman movie and why?
Oh, man, you know what? I have been wanting you to ask me that question for, I can't even remember how long.
And now it's Batman Ninja?
No, well, no, not actually. I thought about this for a long time, and I want to break apart from the pack a little bit and not give a standard answer, and I'm going to say, as far as nostalgia and how many times I've watched it, I'm going to say Batman Beyond Return of the Joker.
I'm not super shocked to hear that from you.
Yes, as other people who may know, I'm a huge Batman Beyond fan.
Well, awesome. And is that your why, or is there anything more you'd like to add?
Well, it's I'm a little younger than maybe some other people that have been on the show. I was born in 1990, so actually my first ever exposure to Batman was Batman the Animated Series. So my love for Batman is firmly rooted in the cartoons. Mm-hmm. So when Batman Beyond came out, that was like a really big deal for me because, it was all brand new. It's like, oh, this is my thing. This is my Batman now. And I ended up, just loving the series. I own all of it on DVD. I have the movie on VHS and Blu-ray. I collected the comics, and I just have a lot of personal attachment to that arm of the franchise.
Nice. All right.
And I just think it's a really good movie. Like the whole flashback with Batman, Barbara, and Joker is just I think that's some of the best Batman animation ever put to screen.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Excellent. Good choice. Well, let's get this party started because we did have you. We've got you on to talk about another Batman animated movie that is even more off the beaten path, can we say, than Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. So without further ado, let's take a look at the newly released animated film Batman Ninja. This did come out on digital a couple weeks ago. As always, we wait for the disc so we can watch it at home. We will start spoiler-free, but yeah, Batman goes to feudal Japan and all sorts of shenanigans ensue. So we'll start spoiler-free, give our reactions. We'll give you a spoiler warning if you're worried about that, and see what we thought of Batman Ninja. So, Brendan, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, this is something that I'll say now, and I'll try not to keep repeating as the episode goes on, but I am not an anime person. I have to be honest, I've never really tried that much. I just know it's just not for me. Like, I've worked in movie retail. I worked, in movie retail for a long time, and it just never grabbed my fancy. It always looked odd. It just wasn't for me. I don't want to sound too negative because I know that anime is very much a cultural thing as well. But yeah, not my thing at all. When this was announced at Comic-Con last year, I was like, okay, cool. I'm not excited about it, but I guess I'll check it out because it's a Batman movie and I'm me. So no matter what they do, no matter what format and what style they take, I'm gonna at least watch it, and I'm probably gonna buy it to put on my shelf because I'm a completist that way, as I'm pretty sure we all are. So yeah, I liked it. I liked it more than I thought I would, to a point, and then it just totally lost me. And I watched it a couple of weeks ago. If I wasn't going to be on this podcast today, I rewatched it again this morning, about 75% of it. I definitely wouldn't have done that had I not have been doing a refresher for this show. And after this morning, I don't know when I'll watch it again.
Okay. Well, you're not an anime guy. It's all right, because you know who is an anime guy? Kevin. In fact, I think that was how this all started. I think we reviewed maybe the trailer for this or something, and Jamie, Brendan, and myself, we all said, well, none of us are really anime guys. And I think I got a message from Kevin that was like, do you know who's an anime guy? Me.
This guy.
Who's got two thumbs and is an anime guy? This guy. Anyway, Kevin, spoiler free, what did you think of Batman Ninja?
Well, kind of going from where Brendan was, of course, when this was first announced, everyone, like you said, a lot of people said, well, this really doesn't look like something for me. And then, of course, me over in my corner, I'm like, this looks like it's totally for me, because I told my girlfriend when it was first announced, it's Batman and it's anime. They might as well have just slapped a To Kevin sticker on it. Thanks for seeing Justice League 7 times in theaters. This is for you. But yeah, what really interested me, not just the fact that it was a Batman anime, was the crew that they had assembled to make this movie. They kind of assembled like an anime Justice League of writers and artists and directors. We have, if you would humor me for a moment, we have the writer of Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann, and everything I'm going to say here is going to mean nothing to you guys, but it's going to mean something to somebody.
I'm just going to smile and nod. Yeah.
So we have the writer of two of the most popular anime in recent memory writing the script. And also the character designer is the writer and artist of Afro Samurai, which I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of.
I've at least heard of it. And I saw a clip of it in the extra features on this.
Yeah, it's a really cool series. Samuel Jackson voiced a samurai. Ron Perlman was in it. It was a lot of fun. So they got this great team together, and then the first real trailer came out, and it was a little confusing at first because we weren't sure if it was just set in feudal Japan, and that's just what it was. But then we found out that they got sent back in time. I mean, that's not a spoiler. It's in the trailer.
Right.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And they went with a fully CG look, which anime has been experimenting a lot with to varying results with the CG animation. Some of it looks really good. Some of it does not. But I was really happy to see that they really nailed it on this one. So having actually seen the movie now, spoiler free, I will just say, as a fan of Batman and as a fan of anime, I was very pleased with the result.
All right. So something I just noticed, which I did not realize, this is being released theatrically in Japan.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all. They release a lot of anime movies over there.
Yeah, so,
Well, I thought it was strange when it didn't start with the Warner Premiere logo. It actually starts with like a legit Warner Brothers Pictures logo.
Yeah. And it's a little longer than a lot of these are. And so that explains it. That's how they're going to make their money back, releasing it in theaters in Japan.
And they'll eat it up, believe me. They still release every year that there's a new we call it Power Rangers here, but over there it's called Super Sentai. Every new season they have a movie that crosses over with the previous season, and they release it in theaters, and it makes a lot of money.
Huh. The more you know. I'll be damned. Well, so for me, spoiler free, going into this, I went into this with eyes wide open. I knew exactly what I was going into, and so I was prepared for it. I knew it wasn't going to be my Batman. I knew it wasn't going to be my particular preference for Batman or my version of Batman. We've seen the trailers. We talked about the trailers. We've been like, this thing looks bonkers. It looks insane, but hey, what the hell? It's Batman. I'll check it out. And that's how I watched it. And knowing that, I think I enjoyed it for what it is. I don't love it over the moon. It didn't convert me to an anime hardcore fan. Like Brendan, like Jamie, I'm not an anime guy. I did watch a fair amount of Dragon Ball Z in my youth, so I do like Dragon Ball, but I haven't watched it in years, and it wasn't a gateway drug to a bunch of other anime. I pretty much just watched Dragon Ball, so that's the extent of my anime knowledge. So this didn't convert me, but it is what it is, and it embraces what it is wholeheartedly, and I respect that kind of commitment. It is unapologetic in what it is trying to be and what it is trying to do, and the medium of which it is chosen. And so I respect that. I enjoyed it well enough watching it. I don't know how often I will revisit it. I own it. It's going to be on my shelf now. But, it's set out to be a specific thing, which is Batman through the lens of these Japanese creatives and creating the anime version. And in the extras, they talked about that. They're like, oh, this isn't us trying to do Batman. It's us doing Batman our way. And the fact that WB let them do that, that's what it is. And you're either going to go with it or you're not. And I went with it for the most part and appreciated it for its own weird little bizarre corner of, this weird little Batman footnote of what it's going to become, of like, oh yeah, did you ever see that freaking insane Batman anime that came out in 2018? Look it up. It's a real thing. It's crazy. I think the animation was actually really good. And again, that kind of explains it, because if they were going to release this theatrically, the animation I thought was pretty impressive. And I went with it for what it was. I appreciated it for what it was. Not my favorite version of Batman, obviously, but it was okay. I was able to dig it. And so that's kind of where I'm coming at it. And we can talk about any specifics, but I will say they do double down on the batshit crazy a couple of times in this thing. So like, I think it was you, Brendan, that said you were like, oh yeah, I was kind of like, I was going with it, and then it just got a point where it was like a tipping point where I was like, okay, you lost me.
Yeah, the third act.
Yeah, it goes totally insane, but again, I'd rather you go totally insane than only half crazy. Go all the way.
That was definitely the height requirement sign at the theme park. You must be this anime to pass.
Yeah. So I get it for like people like it's not for me, but it's yeah. Anyway, Jamie, you didn't give us your spoiler-free thoughts yet.
Brace for impact.
It's all good.
I'm going to preface this whole thing by saying I understand anime has a lot of strong fans out there like Kevin and many other people that I know. I've never been one for anime. The only anime I have any love for whatsoever, and I don't even know if you can consider it anime, but Robotech the Macross Saga is like the only Japanimation thing that's ever just rung a bell with me that's stayed with me for as long as I've known that series. I adore it. I have the comics. I have the DVDs. I have the whole thing. Past that, I've seen numerous others that I have any degree of meh, it was all right for watching one time, to I can't believe this ever got made. This is not a slight against any kind of cultural thing with Japanese culture or people into the anime, nothing like that. In fact, I'm actually quite fond of Japanese culture outside of anime. Like every other piece of Japanese culture appeals to me on some level or another except for the anime. So I want to just say I have a serious handicap with this film going in because of all of that. And don't take this personally if you love anime, because, not everybody loves the same things, and I'm not into it. So, all that said, this is the most I've hated a Batman movie in 21 years. And at least the one I watched 21 years ago, I understood. Oof. I didn't like it. In fact, I hate it more than most things on this earth, but at least I understood it. I paused this movie 3 times and begged Andy to let me quit watching it and skip this episode because I couldn't handle it. I literally the first time I paused the movie was 9 minutes in, and I'm like, I don't want to watch the rest of this. And by all accounts, the first 9 minutes of the movie was pretty friggin' tame compared to where it went from there.
I was going to say, the first 9 minutes, pretty straightforward.
My head still hurts. Like I can still feel the vein trying to go back in on this right side over here, but it's not working very well. So I got through as much as I could get through. I had about 35 minutes left. First of all, the second time I paused it at 16 minutes, and I saw, okay, I probably only got to push through like another hour of this, and I saw that the runtime was an hour and 25. I was like, oh God. And on top of everything else, this is the longest one that DC Animation has put out on their shelf anytime in the recent past. So I had like 35 minutes to go. I paused it once or twice more, and I was trying to set myself, trying to brace myself, trying to just calm down and say, just get through it and be done with it. With that 35 minutes left, I turned it off last night, and I was like, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning and decide whether or not I'm going to finish this, because I cannot stand what I'm watching. It just, and the last 35 minutes, believe me, I did get up. I did decide to power through it and watch it. I'm still not sure exactly what I watched, but it sure ain't something I ever want to watch again.
Well, you did say you liked robots.
I know. And there was a couple. There's a couple times where I was like, Jamie is either going to hate this or he might love it.
There are enough elements in this film that I should have at least said, all right, that was worth it for that. But no. When I am literally half a dozen times in the first half of the movie going, oh my God, what is this? How did we get here? What in the hell is going on? What the frick? Where did that come from? I can't tell you how utterly confused I was from the time they left the opening location to the closing credits of the film. I was like, seriously? I mean, it got to the point where I just had my sarcastic eye roll thing going on. So, I mean, you know what? If you like this movie or you appreciated this movie for some level or another, whether you loved it or whether you just thought, you know, it was a fun ride because of just how different and crazy it was, more power to you. Embrace it, love it. I'm not going to eat your lunch over it. For me, I hated this effing thing and I never want to watch it again.
Well, you know, Jamie, there is a phrase that you're kind of known for that I think applies here, and it's that, you know, not everything is made for everyone. And, you know, that's totally fine, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if they make a sequel for this, I'll support it and I'll even buy the sequel, but I'm going to watch it.
But it is true.
I endorse this. I endorse the idea that Batman has grown to the effect where he can branch out to this. And, you know, for some people, this really works. For some people, it doesn't. For some people, it's just kind of an indifference. And it seems like we pretty much kind of have that mix here between, you know, from Kevin, who loved it, to me, who hated it, and you other two are somewhere in between the two of us. And you know, that's fine. That's just how art works with this stuff sometimes. There are comics out there that work for me and don't. I mean, I probably read more comics than the other three of you put together, most likely. But it's just not everything is going to work for everybody. You're absolutely right. But I do appreciate the fact that Batman is a cultural icon enough that they can actually branch. Like, I can't ever see them trying this with Superman.
Oh, God.
As huge as Superman is and as iconic as he is, and he's the granddaddy of all superheroes, I can't comprehend them even trying something like this with Superman. Now watch this. They'll release one next year now. But my point is, Batman is that character that can span into something like this. And for some people, it's going to work, and that's great. But, you know, for some people who love that, they probably maybe don't like Batman 66. Whereas I, over the years, have grown a tremendous appreciation for Batman 66. So, I mean, there's just so many variations on Batman out there. I'm not even mad that the movie got made. I'm just mad that I wasted an hour and 25 minutes of my time watching it, because I knew going in that anime portion was potentially going to be off-putting for me, and then unfortunately was even more off-putting than I anticipated it being.
All I'm hearing after that, Andy, is in 20 years' time, we need to record a commentary.
Yeah.
For its 20th anniversary.
I'm down.
Call Kevin. He can have my seat for that one.
Well, and I think you guys make very valid points, and I appreciate that they very much committed to what this was, knowing that it's not going to be for all tastes. Not everybody's going to be into this, and that's okay. I kind of dig that, because for the people who are super into it, it's a gift. Like Kevin, he thought he got an early Christmas gift because of this. But for a lot of people, they're like, you know what? That ain't my Batman tastes. That's not my look. I'm not into it. And that's fine too. Like, I appreciate that. But it's better than trying to be everything to everyone and watering it down. Like, this is better because you know it's not for you, then cool. It's not like there's a shortage of Batman stuff. But for the people who are into it,
there's so much content out there. 6 inches away from my left foot right now is a stack of probably, I don't know, I'm kind of eyeballing it, 15, 16 comic books. And of those 15 or 16 comic books, I'm betting Batman's probably in at least 7 or 8 of them, maybe more. So I'm not short on Batman content. It's not like this was something that they put out there and that's the only Batman thing I'm going to get for the next 6 months, year, 5 years, whatever. I've got plenty more to fall back on here. So,
and the other thing is too, it's only May, guys. Like, it's early May, and so far this year we've had 2 Batman and a Suicide Squad animated movie. Like, you know, it's not a horrible time to be alive.
Exactly.
As far as this stuff goes.
and like Andy said, I'm happy that they did commit to going just completely balls to the wall, because I think whether you like the end product or not, I think it would have been worse for everyone if they just compromised and just kind of stuck in the middle. Nobody would have been happy. I fully do
agree with, because if they would have gone with like an anime style of animation, but gone with a more traditional, you know, DC animated film storytelling approach, I really don't think this would have appealed to either audience. So at least in the case of the product they made, the people who were hardcore into the anime got something that they really never expected and are probably head over heels in love with. Versus if they would have done that style of animation and done a straightforward story, I probably would have been more accepting of it, but I probably still wouldn't have loved it. So in that case, they're fishing in a pool and not going to pull a lot out of it. At least in the way that they did do it, they've got the hardcore anime audiences just praising it. Like I was talking about this in another group that I'm in today that is heavily into anime. Most of these guys are. And I said that I didn't really like this movie, and the one guy said, "Oh, I loved it. I thought it was, the best Batman movie I've seen in years." And I'm like, "Okay, dude, just more power to you if this is what you like." So by all means, I agree with your statement there, Kevin. I think that doing it the way they did it was the right approach, because doing it halfway for both sides wasn't going to accomplish a thing.
Would you guys say the halfway from both sides approach is kind of like what Gotham Knight ended up being?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that. Yep.
Yeah,
That's exactly it.
And I have to agree with Jamie in that I'd probably be inclined to watch it a little bit more, but that's just because that's the sort of storytelling we've grown up with, like, not being in a Japanese culture and me not growing up with anime. But Gotham Knight is a movie that I can still watch. Like, it's coming up to its 10th anniversary, like next month, I think. Like, I can still watch it. I might watch it every maybe 2 years or so. Just of like, oh, I haven't seen that in a long time. Yeah, I'll pop it on. I don't like all the stories, but some of them I actually quite enjoy. It's just the style, it doesn't really appeal to me overall, but the story is what sucks me in, because it is more a traditional, would you say, Western way of storytelling. It's just with that animation style. But yeah, I mean, I will still, in the future moving forward, I would probably pull Gotham Knight off the shelf long before I even consider looking at this one to watch it again.
And I'm inclined to agree with you, but that it proves the point. You're exactly right in saying that. Gotham Knight, many people just hate that movie. They think it's trash. I think it's watchable. I don't think it's great. It's toward the bottom of my list as far as the DC movies that I've liked, is the animated home releases. But it just kind of goes with what I was saying. I probably would have liked this a little more had it been done that way, but I still wouldn't be sitting here singing its praises of how great it was. So again, they did it the right way by appealing to a specific audience and doing them justice, instead of trying to help them out with their animation style and help me out with the story style, because it wouldn't have worked for anybody doing it that way.
Better to have a few people love you than try to get everyone to like you.
That's about apt, yeah.
Yeah, in this case, for sure. And they talk about that on the extras of basically, again, the Japanese creators said, yeah, they let us do whatever we wanted. And the American WB folks said, yeah, we didn't want to try and tell them how to do it. That's why they do what they do, and we want to let them do it. So I think that's great, because you get this very, very, very unique product that can be something special for the people who it's made for. And I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, WB, hands off is a good approach. You might want to try doing that more often.
Well, different teams, but yes. I know. Well, that was when Spielberg was like, yeah, it's such a great time working with WB on Ready Player One. They just let me do my thing. It's like, too bad all your directors can't say that. But yes, it's cool that they allowed that. It's a very unique thing, and it's allowed to be what it is. Let's get over the spoiler wall so that way we can talk about some of those weird things. But I will say, and this, I guess this sort of goes against what you guys were just saying, but I don't know. I think I kind of would enjoy a Batman movie that was a Batman adventure in Gotham, but in this animation style. Like, I think I would kind of enjoy that. I don't know.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up. I would love to see like more traditional costume settings in this style. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, because I really liked how traditional, as traditional as this movie gets, traditional Batman, traditional Catwoman, you get those, and I'm like, I would actually be kind of interested in seeing a movie like that, but where they don't get sucked through time into feudal Japan and all change their looks and become the Japanese samurai ninja versions of themselves. Like, I don't know. I think I would watch it. I don't know. So take that as you like.
I do want to say one other thing. My intention initially, before I ever watched the movie, was I'd seen so many people say you need to watch it with the subtitles instead of with the dubs, which I can certainly appreciate that. I have no opposition to subtitles. What I intended to do with this film was to watch it first in the dub and then go back and watch it in the Japanese audio with the English subtitles on it. But obviously, as you can tell by what I'm saying, I could not muster the courage to go back and do this, nor did I have the time to do it. So that may also have been a crippling blow for me on this, because my understanding is that the voice work on this, even by the people who liked it, said, yeah, it's not nearly as strong as it was with the subtitles. And I did not watch it subtitled. I watched it with the voices, and I have to say, I was not a fan of most of these performances. So there's also that probably hurt it for me.
I'll get into that when we go over the wall, because I got some words for that.
Okay.
I think the subs may have even made me like it less, to be honest.
Oh.
I don't know, like I would feel like I'm working harder to watch it.
Interesting.
Well, since we opened that can, you want me to just say it now?
Say it. Do it.
All right.
I don't think it's spoilery.
Yeah, no, I guess not really. Yeah, so I watched the sub and the dub, and I watched the sub first because, I watch a lot of anime, and 90% of what I watch is in the sub. Not usually out of preference. That's usually just what comes out first and how things are released, usually like on the streaming platforms that do have anime. So most of my watching is sub. So I watched both, and the subtitled version of this movie is so astronomically better, in my opinion. I was kind of like Jamie. I struggled to get through the dub. It was actually hard for me.
Okay.
And I told Andy, like, they changed 90% of the dialogue for the dub, and I really don't know why. And I'm sure you guys notice if you watch the dub, the mouth flaps don't match, like, at all.
Yeah, I wondered that, but I just figured because it was initially in Japanese that the mouths wouldn't match up completely.
Well, see, that surprises me that you say that it was changed, because my assumption was that the English dubbed version was them sticking really close to the actual translation of what the Japanese audio said, and that's why they didn't quite line up.
Well,
because sometimes you get it where a movie's dubbed and they try to dub it so that it matches closer to the lip and mouth movements, and that screws all kinds of things. So to have the lip and mouth movements off and having the dialogue change, that really surprises me.
Yeah, especially from DC, who's usually so good at that kind of, quality control. But so the mouth flaps didn't match, and most of the voice cast in this movie, with a few exceptions, are the voices we've heard for a long time, or at least in numerous other projects. We've got Tara Strong, Roger Craig Smith, Yuri Lowenthal. These are people that have been in the Bat universe for a long time. But something about how they changed the dialogue, and this is just from my perspective, it really felt like it didn't tonally fit with the visuals. It felt so jarring hearing almost like animated series dialogue that you would expect from something like maybe like Justice League Action coming out of the mouths of those characters drawn that way. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, I get it.
I just couldn't believe that it was Buster from Arrested Development who voiced the Joker.
I know, right?
Yeah, that was left field.
It was.
What the hell?
I remember when they announced it, I went, didn't see that coming. And then as I was watching it again, I even thought, wait, this was someone I didn't expect. I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, wow, it doesn't sound like him at all. But I didn't hate his Joker. A lot of people seem to. Like, I just seeing some tweets and stuff go around. Apparently some people did not like his Joker, but I liked that he did his thing.
It's funny you say that, because just the other night I spent a couple hours talking to Milks and Rooney for an episode of Please Rewind about Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And one of Milk's chief complaints against that film, and he had plenty, believe me, you thought his Jedi arguments were strong. Holy shit, wait till you hear this.
Oh boy.
But one of his biggest things was he found Roger Rabbit's voice in the character performance-wise in the film unbearably annoying. Milks, I got news for you. Roger Rabbit just lost that trophy to this Joker performance because it's butt juice. It's awful. I can't stand it. It's freaking terrible. And every time he opened his mouth, it took me out of the movie. Not that I was ever deep into it, granted, but
yeah, I'm kind of with Andy. I didn't mind. I didn't hate it, but I would almost like to see him do it again in a more traditional sense, because I just felt like it may have been the right voice actor for the wrong role.
Yeah, I mean, I like that he did his own thing. You know, I could see it was very crazy, so I could see why certain people would not enjoy it, and I don't think Jamie's alone. Like I said, I saw a few reactions of people who didn't like it, but I just like that he made it his own, and it didn't bother me.
I think it might have worked better in a like not so much as Justice League action, but maybe like a Brave and the Bold, or like a more kidified version of the Joker. Like maybe one of like the Batman and what is it, like versus mutants or whatever, like those ones. Like maybe in something like that it could work.
I agree with that.
Yeah, just a thought.
But yeah, so sorry.
But yes, Jamie did say while he was trying to get through this, it's not the first time he used the term butt juice.
yeah, I could use that term for this film.
And he's also
way
got
more
plans
than I
for
need to.
Plans for some tattoos as well that seem really interesting.
Oh yeah, heard about that.
I meant that when I typed it too. Oh God, I did not want to watch any more of it.
I couldn't stop picturing it when I read it.
Well, it's nice to know that my balls are now tattooed in your brain.
Oh.
That's in my brain forever now.
Well, anyway, let's be able to speak freely. Let's get over the spoiler wall. Obviously, I think it's pretty clear that as far as this movie goes, your mileage will vary. Reactions are all over the place. If you're a huge anime fan, I think you're going to probably enjoy it. If you are open to something extremely different, you may appreciate it, but it's not for everyone. So take that as you will and check it out or don't. But we are going to talk spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, and there's a lot of crazy shit in here, you've been warned. So we're over the spoiler wall, guys, and now you can speak freely about whatever you like. We were talking about the sub-dub thing. I didn't chime in, but I only watched it dubbed just because it's easier to watch that way. Call me lazy, if you will. I'm not a purist in any way, so I'm like, I'll just watch it dubbed. I wasn't bothered by the vocal performances. I thought it was fine. And I know that there is always some difference as far as like translation goes, probably to make the mouths work a little bit better. But I still was okay for me. So I did wonder, like, maybe I'll try to watch it again with subs. I just didn't have time. So I only saw it the one time with dubs, and it was fine for what it was. But into the movie itself, I will say one thing that I did like about it, and I always like this when they do it in these movies, is that you get a lot of Batman characters. They pack this thing with a lot of characters, and so you don't only get the very unique take on Batman and the Joker, but you get Harley Quinn, you get Bane, like that one I didn't know was in here. You get the Penguin, you get Two-Face, you get Catwoman, you get Poison Ivy, you get Deathstroke, and plus the Bat family. So you get Red Hood, Nightwing, Red Robin, and Robin. So like, and Alfred, like so kudos to them.
Monkey, and don't forget the monkey.
I will not forget Robin's little monkey friend, of course. And obviously some of those designs I liked better than others, but I thought it was really interesting that like they got anyone they could into this. And I appreciate that. For me, that's fun.
It does make you wonder why Barbara wasn't in there, really. Like, she's the only one missing.
Right?
True. Can
No
we talk
wheelchair
about how?
ramps in feudal Japan.
Oh,
Wow!
What, too soon? Was that too soon? Really?
Wow!
Oh, good call.
Can we talk about how freaking cool Deathstroke looked, though? He was my favorite design out of all of them.
Was Deathstroke in this film? I hadn't noticed. I must have blinked.
He was.
They even gave you a name card, Jamie. Come on.
I know, and then they proceeded not to do shit with him for the rest of the film.
He had the coolest robot, though, easily.
Listen to me. If there's one freaking Batman or DC villain that belongs in feudal freaking Japan, it's him, and he was the one that got the least amount of time out of any. The freaking Munchie-Chi got more screen time than he did.
Munchie-Chi.
Don't tell me that's not what that thing was. I know what I saw.
no, it was. You're right. Yeah, but those other four villains, like those were, they were extended cameos. I wasn't expecting a lot from any of them, and they all had little moments, but they were supporting characters.
Gave me great cosplay ideas, that's for damn sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
I bet.
So you're going to be a Munchie-Chi now, or?
Don't spoil it.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Listen, I'm going to throw out my one positive thing that comes to mind, and then I'm just going to kind of sit back for the remainder of this and drink as much as I can. I have a really weird thing for Japanese snow macaques. So seeing Grodd sitting in a hot spring with a bunch of Japanese snow macaques like sitting around the area with him, I actually smiled at that, and I thought, oh, well, maybe this is worth the $20 purchase price. And we drifted away from that, and I forgot all about it. But I really like that for some reason. I mean, a movie that has apes, snow macaques, giant fighting robots, Batman, Deathstroke. I should really love more of this film than I did. And the only thing I
checks out on paper.
Snow macaques. I mean, it's snow macaques. I watched a freaking Batman Ninja movie, and the only thing I can praise about it is freaking snow macaques in a pool with Grodd.
See, and that was why there were certain points where I was like, oh, maybe Jamie will like this because Grodd's in it. I forgot to mention Grodd. You get the huge mechs, which, so like, I was like, I don't know, like big robots and monkeys and apes. I thought Jamie might like it.
No.
Oh, sorry, I just had to Google what snow macaque is, but I'm with you again.
It's good that you bring up Grodd because watching the sub, his voice is the first that appears, and I instantly recognized it because he's voiced by one of my absolute favorite voice actors, Takahito Koyasu. So as soon as I heard his voice, I'm like, oh man, it's 30 seconds and I'm in this 100%.
I liked the story that it was telling. Like I didn't know what to expect going into it. I was just like, okay, whatever, I'll watch it because it's Batman. But I was pleasantly surprised the first time I watched it. The story kind of had me. I remember, like, when I first watched it, I think I dozed off for like maybe a minute, just before they went to that painted style of animation where Joker and Harley are the farming couple.
Okay, and I hated that part. I
just remember thinking, what the hell? Like, how long was I asleep for? What have I missed? And I skipped it back. And I was like, oh, I only missed like a minute. Okay. I had the same exact problem. I was like, did I look away? What did I miss? Why did the entire movie change? I was like, oh, is it a flashback and they're doing like a thing? No, it was just they stupidly changed the style for this 5-minute sequence. It was pointless. Jason was there all of a sudden. I was like, what? How? Like, did I miss like an hour of this thing? Are we almost at the end? But yeah. Like, I that kind of threw me a little bit. But I still went with the main overall story. I was pleasantly surprised. Like, okay, this is the style. This isn't what I'm used to and what I particularly like. But the story is better than I expected it to be. I can go along with this ride. But yeah, when they started doing the whole, like, castle activate and these things, I'm just like, nah. And then the monkeys all forming together, I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? And then like the bats coming in and joining with the monkeys to make a Batman with expressions and the logo and stuff. I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Thank God it's near the end. Otherwise I would have turned it off. I'm like, I'm out. Like, I'm totally gone. This has lost me.
You know, it's funny you say that, because that's the point that just broke your guys' suspension of disbelief. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, yeah, that tracks. Because I'm so used to anime and how crazy it gets. It's like everyone kept talking about how bananas it was, and I'm like, for me, this is a slow Tuesday. Like my general anime diet consists of, you know, Jackie Chan Mad Max people with buildings falling on top of their heads, giant robots throwing literal universes at aliens, and cowboys traveling across America to stop the president from finding the bones of Jesus Christ. So it's just average for me.
But do monkeys form together with
I'm not sure
bats?
how I feel about any of what he just said there. But damn. That's all I can say is damn.
And a no prize for the first person to call in and tell me what 3 series I just talked about.
I'm gonna guess Cowboy Bebop was one of them. Past that, I'm out.
I'm just taking your word for that. I have no idea. But yeah, like when all the villains' fortresses started becoming robots, I went, what the hell? It's anime, right? Like, fine, go for it, whatever. And then the monkeys all formed together, and I was like, oh, all right, fine. I've been here this long. I'll see it through. But here's the thing: when they turned into the big giant classic Batman, it doesn't make any damn sense, of course. But I was like, okay. Like, if you're gonna fight a big giant mech Joker, a big giant monkey Batman, why the hell not? So it's insane, but whatever.
I do love how
the thing about the monkeys was that the way that they got them to turn into the big giant monkey was by playing the 60s Batman theme.
Yes,
that made me chuckle. But aside from that, I was like, I got nothing.
And I also love how the giant Batman was like the early Detective Comics Batman.
Yeah, I did like.
Well,
that.
that it was like that original
with the gloves and the
Mm-hmm.
That was neat.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of fun, and I did appreciate that. Like, the movie starts in a more traditional place and then continues to just evolve and change until we get crazier and crazier and crazier. So I like that. I like that. No, this is still our Batman, but he gets thrown back in time, and he's still Batman for a little while before he embraces becoming. There was like this middle. It said like Sengoku Batman, right? Mm-hmm. Then there was like Sengoku Batman, and then there was
Ninja Batman.
I thought definitely Ninja. I didn't know if there was another one in between the two. But anyway, like Armored. I liked that it was like a gradual shift from the Batman we know to then the insanity that followed. And I like that, like, the Batmobile made it too, so we can see the Batmobile be the Batwing, be the Batcycle before it all gets destroyed. So you get the little taste of that. They got to kind of have their cake and eat it too, of like, we can have a cool action scene with all the Bat vehicles, but then we can destroy it. So then Batman has no choice but to rely on the ninja within, or whatever the hell this movie was supposed to be about.
He seemed awfully distraught for Batman, though.
What did you say, Jamie?
I didn't hear what Brendan said. What'd you say was good?
Oh, so when he was trying to use his grappling gun and there were no tall buildings, I thought that was a nice touch.
Oh no! Now we've turned down the street that I was just about to drive on anyway. So, Ducard did mention at one point in Batman Begins that he never did learn to mind his surroundings. You're going to tell me that the world's greatest detective throws down a smoke bomb and then raises his grappling gun and doesn't realize there's nothing to grapple from before any of this happens? I mean, if that's not the most un-Batman thing I've ever seen, I don't know what is. And the fact that he was completely seemingly reliant on his technology and felt all but lost when most of it was gone. Look, I get they're telling a different story. I get that this is not my Batman to start with, but these are notions that I have set for Batman that don't quite work with me when you're trying to play in this sandbox with him. does not sit right with me.
I get what they were going for, but the problem is they were almost treating Batman like he's Iron Man, like he's only his tech, and Batman's never been only his tech. So they were trying to almost exaggerate the tech part of the character to make a bigger deal when they took it away.
Yeah, that was a weird arc they gave him that I didn't really understand where it came from. If I do have a few complaints about the movie, that's one of them. And it's exactly like you said. It's like he's never been so dependent on his tech that he just falls apart when he can't use it.
Right. Yeah.
A little strange.
Like, sure, he has his wonderful toys, but he's a detective and a master of fighting without any of those toys, and he always has been.
I will say it was freaking awesome when the motorcycle turned into power armor.
Oh yeah, then of course you get Robot Batman too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was like some Robotech Next Generation stuff there.
Mm.
Is anyone going to mention Alfred had a ponytail?
Yeah.
Because of course he did.
Well, if we're going to talk about haircuts, let's go straight to Damien, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the monkey did it.
Well, it's weird. I didn't know that was Damien until I checked the credits because he acts nothing like Damien.
Yeah, he's way too nice. Yeah, exactly. He's way too, what's the word? Nice.
See, now there's a missed opportunity. I get the Munchie-Chi thing is kind of, no, I know it's not that's not what it's named, but that's what I'm going to call it because that's what the friggin' thing was, is Munchie-Chi. So I know the Munchie-Chi thing is cute and all that, but man, if you're already going balls to the wall crazy with this, why not have Damien have Goliath in this thing?
Mm-hmm. But you mentioned the haircut. That's actually a direct reference to a very old manga series called Lone Wolf and Cub. The kid in that series has that exact haircut.
Does he really?
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple issues of that, and I guess, first of all, it's been years since I've read them, but yeah, I didn't piece that together.
Might actually
I'll let that slide then.
Sorry. No, I said you might actually really like that one. It's very much like a Western set in feudal Japan.
Oh, I've read... I have collected volumes of it. I don't actually have like the single books.
Mm.
So the guy that turned me on to Dark Knight Returns back in the late 80s was really heavily into that. And he's like, you should read this. And I'm like, I'll get to it one of these days. And I wound up buying like 1 or 2 volumes of it. And I read it and I enjoyed it for the most part. I never got around to finishing it off.
Yeah.
And then Batman had that weird thing going on too, where he took it off and he had like the monk shaved thing out of his head, and then a bat symbol on top of it. I mean, who the hell does he think he is?
Of course.
When I was 14.
Yeah, what really weirded me out about that is like, yeah, way to blend in, Bruce. Nobody will think that you're the bat guy that's been running around when you shave it in your friggin' head.
Catwoman liked it.
Well,
so I liked I did like seeing all of the characters reimagined through this different lens. It was kind of fun to see, here's what Nightwing would look like. And he had the giant, like, almost Dragon Ball Z hair. And I was happy that Red Robin and Tim Drake was included in some form. I wish they'd include him in any of these animated films, but hey, I'll take what I can get for now. But man, the Red Hood with that big freaking basket on his head was the weirdest thing.
I kind of liked it because, and they said this in the special features, that is a traditional like thing that monks would wear back in the day. So it makes sense in a kind of ironic way because if anyone is monk and Zen-like, it's Jason.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
God, he was bloodthirsty.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me back to the dialogue changes. None of that was in the sub. Like when he said when they were sitting in the dojo and he's like, I can't wait to slaughter them all. I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah, and Bruce doesn't pull him up on it. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I was legit wondering if they were going to get to a point where like Joker in that final battle sequence on the rooftops, which I thought, okay, finally I'm going to get something I like. And no, when they got to that, and he kept goading him to finish him off. And I thought, are they really going to cut loose and let him do that? Because then I'll understand that they had no idea what they were talking about with Batman in this.
Well, going to that rooftop sword fight, I thought that was fantastic. That was animated so beautifully, and it was so fluid and just looked so damn cool. I loved it.
I will say it was probably the most believable portion of the film, if that's any help, but I still did not enjoy it. But that is, again, people take my words on this with a grain of salt because I don't get into the styling of anime. Kevin loves the styling of anime. So if you're into anime, you probably want to listen to him more than me because I can't fairly judge the quality of anime because it kind of stifles me going into it to begin with. So, more people probably will agree with his notion of this than I will, but I just didn't care for it because of styling. That's really what it boils down to with me there. Mm-hmm. Some of this other stuff is styling too. Some of it's just because I have no idea what the hell they were doing, saying, trying, or anything else. I don't know where some things came from, where some things went. It just baked my brain completely. Like, the thing that was mentioned earlier about switching from the computer animation to I think I heard somebody call it like a watercolor animation.
Yeah.
To me, it looked like they switched to an video.
Well, I think Brendan, you said that you didn't really like the story portion of that part.
It felt like a completely different movie.
Yeah.
For that scene, like, I don't know. Yeah, it was it pulled me out of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't like the story portion either. I don't know why they tried to fake us out with a Joker has amnesia thing. It's like, obviously we know that's not the case, but I didn't like the story portion of it, but I did love the way it was drawn, and it really reminded me of the animated sequence in Kill Bill. Yes,
I will certainly concur with that. That the fluidity and the motion of it, especially the colors, maybe not so much, but the motions of it definitely felt like that.
Yeah, I appreciated the aesthetic, but not the story element, because I'm like, who are you kidding here?
and I can't say I looked at any of this outside of the preconceived handicap I have with the styling. I can't say that I look at any of this and think that it's bad looking in and of itself, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't necessarily care for the character aesthetics as they were portrayed throughout the film for the most part, but none of them look so bad that I think to myself, oh, that's hideous, and I would spit at it if I ever saw it, in person or any of that. It's not like that. But that watercolor style animation sequence, though I didn't care for the story, and by that point I was completely gone from this film anyway. So I mean, it's whatever there. But I like the uniqueness of it, in that I don't see a lot of things that look like that. So it at least caught my attention in that respect, and I think it was good looking for what it was. It was maybe too much of a change from what was going on before. I mean, I don't know why you have to make that change anyway. Somebody told me it was like this critical part of the story, and that's why it was changed, but I never got an explanation of exactly why it was changed. I don't know why you couldn't still tell that same part of the story with the animation that was going on before and after it. I mean, I'm not clear on that matter.
That's exactly where I'm coming from. Is like, if you're going to change the style of the animation in the middle of your movie, you better have a reason, and you'd better put it into some sort of context. Like I think about,
they did it for like a dream sequence or something.
Exactly. A dream sequence or a flashback would have made sense, but it was neither of those things, and there was no transition to lead you into this new style. So I think of something like, this is a bizarre reference, but Krampus. In Krampus, where the old lady tells the story of when she was little, and it cuts into this animated sequence, you go, okay, great, we're seeing it because it's a story she's telling. But here, it's just another scene in the movie, but they just changed the style for no reason, and it was annoying, and I was like, what the hell happened? What did I miss? Did I fall asleep? What is going on? And so I wasn't even paying attention to the story at that point, because it was just this stupid change for no reason.
You guys aren't wrong that it was extremely tonally jarring, and I'm not trying to justify it, but I will say that is something that anime does a lot. All of a sudden, there will be these drastic art style changes to like almost entirely different animation, techniques in just the random middle of something. And that's just something that happens in anime a lot. So it didn't bother me as much, but I totally understand why it was so jarring to you guys.
Yeah, it was just weird. That was my least favorite part.
Again, I thought it was I don't know if cool looking is exactly what I want to use, but for lack of something better to call it at this point and not want to sit here for 10 minutes thinking of the right word, it was kind of cool the way it was done. But I could have completely done without the change to begin with. Right.
I actually like the animation that was the animation for 90% of the movie. I actually really enjoyed. I was willing to go with this new style, and I thought the animation quality was really high. And so that's why that scene even threw me off more, was because I tuned into the rest of the style when I was going with it, and then they just switched it up on me.
One scene that I don't want to miss, that I want to bring up, is for anyone who knows me, I am an enormous Power Rangers fan. Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider. I love all of that stuff. So when all of the castles formed into the Megazord, there was a smile on my face a mile wide. I loved that so much. And they even framed it like a Power Rangers episode where they kind of freeze frame it and all the villains are kaleidoscoped around it. I was waiting for like the colored smoke explosions behind them.
Yeah, I didn't mind that, actually. I actually liked the way that all came together. And then I did think, I'm like, well,
came
what
together.
The heck?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I did think, I was like, well, where's the head? And then that Joker balloon gets pulled over it and it becomes a Joker face. I was like, oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
Missed opportunity, though. I wanted to see it bang its fist together and make a sword out of it.
That would have been boss.
At least I would have understood that.
But oh man, I got such a kick out of that, and that kind of goes to the overall theming. Is like, I feel like they tried to put as many like nods, references, and like things from all different kinds of genres of anime. You had like your classical ninja historical things. You had like your ninja scroll sequences. You had your giant robot sequences. I felt like they tried to put like the greatest hits of anime all together. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated that.
Oh no, I think they threw in everything. I agree with you. They didn't want to leave anything on the table. It was almost like they're like, we get one shot at this, put it all in. Which is fine. Again, I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Commit. Go all the way.
And I also did like during the end credits how it was like a little comic of what happened when they came back. And it's like Gordon and Bullock, like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, it was like the little epilogue.
the ending with Bruce riding away in that strange Batmobile-esque horse-drawn carriage.
Oh, that was so weird.
That
I wonder who Batman is, said everybody.
Okay, I mean, just what in the flying FU blank blank were they thinking doing that? I don't get that at all.
Well, you know what the biggest logic like plot hole in this movie is, if we're being honest here?
Where do you want me to start?
How did he grow all his hair back in that time so he didn't have the stupid bat symbol in it?
Well, they had these weird jumps in time throughout the movie too. It's like, they just randomly say, 6 months later or 2 months later. It's just strange. I don't know anybody can master ninjutsu in 6 months.
Well, he kind of had a head start already, to be fair. It's not like he was a novice.
He kind of seemed like a novice toward the beginning of the film, but anyway.
Well, but I did really love how near the end when he turned into quote unquote ninja Batman, and I loved all those little title card intros like Andy was talking about before. It was very much like a video game, and they mentioned that in the special features.
Mm-hmm. I did like that final payoff of Ninja Batman, because you had Batman, and then you had Armored Bat. I knew there was another one, because it was Batman, and then it was Armored Batman, then it was Sengoku Batman, and then it was Ninja Batman.
And he's doing... No, go ahead.
And so, yeah, when you get that Ninja Batman, you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's the movie I'm watching.
Wasn't there one after Ninja Batman, too?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think that was the last one.
Maybe I've got the Sengoku or whatever it is flipped around.
That one was, yeah.
But
Okay.
I love how he was doing like Naruto ninja hand signs and like disappearing in the clouds of bats. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I want to see.
Oh, when he was doing the finger knitting stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he had like power over the bats, and he was making other Batmans with the bats. Is that correct? Something like that.
Anime.
I was
Oh,
going to
yeah,
say,
anime,
even the
anime.
people that made this don't really know.
I was okay.
I want to give a shout out. I know somebody mentioned it earlier with the Bane.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really cool. Didn't make a damn bit of sense, but I thought it was cool that they took the idea of making him into a sumo.
That was
Yeah.
cool.
I hated the fact that it made no sense, and I hated the fact that he was ended as quick as he got there. But at the same time, I thought that was worth seeing, I guess.
Doskoi. He just kind of looked like E Honda from Street Fighter with a mask on.
Thank you. I
Totally.
couldn't remember his name. I was sitting there trying to say that guy's name, and then talk about him beating the hell out of a car with his super fast palm movement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brennan's been quiet for a while.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to add.
Well, if he's going to
it
stop
is what
talking
it
about it,
is.
I'm going to stop talking about it.
It's a big old thousands of monkeys making a Batman, as you do.
Bunch of
Yeah.
little monkeys made a big monkey.
Oh yeah, it made a big monkey first.
How is this not Jamie's favorite movie? There's robots, giant monkeys. All it was missing was a giant shark.
That's what I thought. I was like, maybe Jamie's into this, but
No.
not so much.
What are you gonna do?
Hey, you know what other movie I was over with by the time the monkey showed up?
What?
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh God.
I'd watch that again before I'd watch this.
You know what? That movie would have served it to have a giant robot in it.
Maybe. All I know is if you turn it off when the monkeys show up, you're probably going to be okay. At least I know I am.
Well then, anything else that we haven't hit on?
I think I'm good on my end. I got to talk about everything I liked. Like I said, there were a few nitpicks, some little hiccups in the story, and weird things I tried to put in there. I was like, that didn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, I think I'm good.
I didn't get. Yeah, I tried not to get too hung up on like whether logistical things or whatever, being like, oh, we're in these old ancient times, but they still have giant robots. I was like,
Well, I
I
thought
think that's
they had,
anime.
I
I'm
thought
fine.
I thought they had an easy out of that because they had Grodd's magic scientific MacGuffin thing. It's like, oh, they use that to power it or something.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, why don't we give some closing thoughts and some letter grades? Brendan.
I've waited till this point now to bring it up I just wanted to see if anybody else had made the connection, but really, this was the Batman version of Turtles in Time.
Oh God.
I guess, yeah.
Sure. Modern day hero that we like goes back to feudal Japan and weird shit happens. That's kind of the plot of both those movies. Look, I really can't add anything else to it. I will say this, and this is something I was holding off for my final thoughts, is I, as a Batman fan, love the fact that this movie exists. It's not for me. I gave it a shot, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt it's not for me. But I love that it exists because Batman is that pliable, and we say it all the time, and this really is proof. You can put that character in any situation, and in some way, shape, or form, he will work, he will fit, and it will be someone's favorite version of the character. So, as a Batman fan, I'm very happy, and I'm happy for those people who love this, and might make them Batman fans. I don't know, but I'm really happy it exists. So, for taking that into account, overall, I would have to give this movie, a C. I would say I'd go with a C.
Right. Jamie.
I want to emphasize just one more time. I brought it up. My opinion on this film is solely based on a matter of personal tastes and preferences. So I have a hard time being able to comment on this film or grade this film in a fashion that is fair to the movie because I am not strong enough into the anime genre to say how this stands up with any of the rest of the stuff. So based on that, my grade is pretty much worthless unless you're a type of person like me who does not care for anime as a genre at all. So, outside of that, I really can't say anything that isn't just a biased taste thing for me. I'm going to co-sign Brendan's sentiment. I'm glad this thing exists, even though I did not care for it in the least. Make another one, make a trilogy out of it. I mean, do whatever you want. Just keep it out of live action. I don't want any of this shit in live action. Just leave it in the medium where it's at. That's fine. Even if you want to make some comic books out of it, make that too. I mean, give this crowd what it wants, what it deserves. Great. I'm glad it can be there for everybody. I have other things that can. I've got Batman White Knight #8 sitting right here by my foot, and I'm excited as hell to read that. So even though I may badmouth this movie, I got something else I can jump right into as soon as I get off here and put a smile on my face, hopefully. So all that said, I don't care for the film. I don't care for the style. I don't care for the voice performances. For the most part, Harley was pretty good. We never really talked about that, but she was the closest to what I'm accustomed to with this stuff because
that's because it's Tara Strong.
Right, exactly. So that didn't work for me. Story choices, if that's what you want to call them, didn't work for me. Action sequences didn't work. I mean, it's just simply not for me. Is the only way I know how to say it. So for me, my personal bias puts this really kind of in that D minus kind of a territory. And again, don't take that grade for anything because it's not a fair grade to the film. It's just my own personal sight on this matter that gives it that.
All right, Kevin.
Well, yeah, and everything Jamie said is totally fair, but I just happen to fall on the other end of that spectrum. This is something that was made in that specific cross-genre of fandoms that appeals to me so much. I am a huge Batman fan. I am a huge anime fan. And I really think your mileage on this is going to vary. There's like a built-in barrier to enjoying it. And I really think that how much you like anime is going to directly impact how much you will enjoy this movie. And me being as into anime as I am, I really enjoyed it. I thought the animation was gorgeous. Even the watercolor thing, even though I didn't like the story part, I thought it at least looked cool. I love the animation. I love the fight scene. And I'm referring to the sub for all of this, by the way. I'm not even talking about the dub. The voice cast that they got was like a really great collection of Japanese voice actors that if you've been watching anime in the past, even the past 2 or 3 years, you'll recognize a lot of these people. And overall, I loved it. Andy nailed it perfectly in the beginning. This was like an early Christmas present. And I, too, am happy it exists because I never thought I'd get something like this. I thought this was too niche. This was too much of a thing that Warner wouldn't commit to. So I am so happy that I got something so perfectly attuned to my taste. So I am going to have to also give it a very biased A.
Nice. As we started, I think I'm pretty much in Brendan's camp. Maybe a hair more. I enjoyed it maybe a hair more than he did because, as I said at the beginning, like we all have our own preferences of Batman, our own favorite versions of Batman. And this is never going to be my preference for how I like my Batman. But that's how I feel about Lego Batman. Is I'm like, if I'm going to choose my favorite Batman, it's not going to be Lego Batman. But that doesn't mean I still can't like Lego Batman for what it is and what it's trying to be. And I feel that way about this. This isn't the Batman movie I would make, but that's okay. I can appreciate it for what it's trying to be and what it's doing on its own terms. So I appreciate it on that respect. I like that they made it. I like that they went totally crazy with it. I had a good enough time watching it. Some of the stuff I liked more than others, but I thought it was kind of fun to see all these different characters reimagined through a very specific take. And it was just fun to see what that would be like. So it was all right. I don't regret watching it. I enjoyed it well enough when I did watch it, but I don't know how much I'm going to revisit it. So for me, it's like a C+.
C
because
Sorry.
yes. So yeah, it was decent, and I was able to appreciate it on its own terms. So we're at like a C, a C+, an A, and a D-.
Is this like the biggest like gap that this show has had between grades on something?
It's been a while if it's not.
Yeah. But we said it from the very beginning. Your mileage will vary, you know? It's either your thing or it's not, or you're someone like Brendan and me where you're like, all right, well, that was a thing.
And you know what? Most of the reactions I've seen just on social media in general, Facebook groups and Twitter, unless you're like a hardcore anime fan or a hardcore, you know, like Kevin or like me and just can't stand anime stuff, most people fall in line with the two of you. They're just like, oh, yeah, it was. They get some entertainment value out of the insanity that this movie was. And great, you know, more power to you. That I just, I don't know what else to say. It just
no, that's totally fine.
I mean, how many times did I say, please let me turn this off and be done with it? So yeah, anyway,
a lot.
Yeah, too many times.
Anyway, Batman Ninja, it's out there. It is one of a kind. So enjoy or don't, or just wait for the next one because it ain't going to be long. But that is a very recent animated Batman. And now we're going to look back at Batman the Animated Series. We made you the promise. We're going to keep up on it. We're doing it again. So that's right. We're about to look at the next episode from Batman the Animated Series. Last time we looked at Harley's Holiday. So this time we are looking at the episode Lockup. And as I was looking, guys, I noticed we're getting very close to finishing Batman the Animated Series proper. We're just a few episodes away, and then it becomes the new Batman Adventures.
Wow.
So we're getting really close. Anyway, Lockup. So this is an episode where there is a very committed and intense guard at Arkham Asylum who all the different inmates are afraid of. And so he gets pulled up on these charges. The inmates are too afraid to say what he's been doing until they say he's going to keep his job, and then they all let loose. He gets fired. He comes back as his own supervillain, Lockup, because he realizes that those in power at Gotham are just too soft on these criminals, so he's going to take them out for good, as well as the people who lead Gotham. And so Batman and Robin have to come in and stop Lockup. So, thoughts on this episode? Kevin, as our guest, why don't you start?
Thank you. And I'm just so happy that the episode I'm on, I get to do one of these because it's one of my favorite portions of the show.
Great.
To steal a phrase from one of your other shows, Andy, Disorder, I think this episode falls firmly into what I'm going to call the Batman adequates.
All right.
So yeah, this guy Bolton, he wants to make Arkham great again. That's the vibe I got from him.
Oh no.
Oh, we've lost Jamie.
Log off. Everybody sign off right now. We're not getting over the top of that one.
Oh, happy I could contribute that. Yeah, it wasn't a bad episode. Like, you know, you guys have said before, there really are no bad episodes of Batman the Animated Series, but there's certainly ones that aren't, you know, great. And I think this falls like firmly in the middle. The whole time I was watching it, though, I just couldn't escape the fact in my head that this guy Bolton looked like Billy Butcher from The Boys, the comic book series. You guys ever read that?
No.
I haven't read it, but I know the one you mean.
But I've not.
Jamie, that's something you would really like. It's Garth
I
Ennis.
know I'm a big fan of Garth Ennis and stuff, so I don't know why I've never read it, but I've not gotten around to it.
Yeah, so it's just one of those weird things I kept it's sticking in the back of my head. But yeah, it was a perfectly serviceable episode. You know, obviously they focused on this new character that we all knew was never gonna show up again. No one was clamoring for the Lockup sequel. But I do like the angle they took that, there was this abusive guard that even these, criminals were afraid of, especially like Scarecrow, the irony that he was scared of this guy. And I think the strongest point was the ending where Batman, spoiler alert, Batman and Robin stop him.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets locked back up and he says, now I can keep an eye on them all the time. I thought that was a nice little touch.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I mean, the episode starts with the Scarecrow being brought back to Arkham, and that's exactly how Harley's Holiday started.
That's what I was thinking. As soon as it started.
Jonathan Crane, he just can't stay out of Arkham. He's a mess. I was like, poor guy. Anyway, Brendan, what about you? What did you think of Lockup?
I often get this one confused with the one, I can't remember what it's called now, but the one where Harvey Dent comes... Like is that the one? Is it Trial or something where Harvey Dent becomes some sort of character like that to sort of stop? I can't remember. Anyway, I get the two confused, but this one is one I haven't revisited that often. Watching it today, I didn't remember all the parts of it, but I remember the overall plot. It's fine. Like it's a decent one-off episode. Like I'd prefer this as a one-off, as opposed to like the random werewolf episode or the Worry Man or something like that. It's fine. Like I actually like the particularly after following Harley's Holiday, it's a bit of a darker storyline. One thing I did want to point out though is I'd love for someone to make a supercut or something of how many times in the Batman animated series world, so the animated series and the films, how many times does Harvey Bullock crash his car or be involved in a car crash? Because that's another thing that carried over from Harley's Holiday is Bullock crashed his car, and I'm like that seems to happen a lot. Bullock's involved in a car accident, but. Look, yeah, I enjoy it. It's a middle of the road episode. It's like I said, as a one-off, it's better than many of the one-offs that are in that series.
Mm-hmm. And then Jamie,
I dug the episode, but I have a tendency of liking villains like this. Like he almost kind of has a Punisher type of a vibe to him. The concept of the inmates all being terrified of him, I thought was really good, but I thought the payoff of why they're terrified of him could have been a little stronger than it was, or a little more detailed, I guess. But maybe for them to be that scared of him in a kids-oriented show, they can't really get down that deep. So some of it needs to be left to the imagination, I guess.
Did you want this guy to rape the Scarecrow? Is this what you're saying?
Well, if you want to show me why a guy who thrives on other people's fear is utterly terrified of the dude, maybe he needs to be introduced to the Sisters of Arkham or something. If you want to use a little Shawshank reference there.
All of a sudden, it turns into an episode of Oz.
Oh God, what am I watching? What is
scene,
he doing with Scarface? It's just a doll.
Oh.
Where is he putting his hand? Okay,
you guys are making those monkeys sound pretty normal, I can tell you.
You guys are going to make me go full Rooney here, and I don't need to do that tonight. I like the character and his motivations. Was he, heavily developed? No, but I thought this episode had moments of brilliance, like Bruce Wayne outsmarting everybody by saying, well, if this guy's doing such an exemplary job, we're going to renew his contract for another year.
Yeah, that was actually
the
really
panic
cool.
button goes off on everybody. That's to me, that's another one of those times where I'm going to say that's a real Batman moment right there, because he just outwits everybody in the room with the simplest of thoughts.
And he still takes him down as well. Like it's him who brings him down in a very subtle way.
Right. like Kevin, I really appreciate the ending of this. I thought that was really strong. I mean, that almost makes me want to see a follow-up episode with him because of the way that this ended. It was almost a little tiny bit, not exactly, but just a little tiny bit reminiscent of like a Norman Bates type ending, kind of having that inner monologue at the end. He's apprehended, but he still thinks he's got the upper hand on everybody. The thing that I least appreciated about this episode was the anticlimactic feel of all of the physical confrontations between Batman and Lockup. Mm-hmm. I really think that payoff could have been so much stronger than what we got, because it just felt to me like they just kept flipping each other around a room here and there.
Yeah, he just kept judo throwing him, and that's really it.
Yeah, and that was both ways. I mean, that was both guys doing it to each other. There was just nothing really substantial to the confrontations as far as the physical portion was concerned. So that was a little bit of a letdown for me. But overall, I think the episode had way more good than bad going for it.
All right. Nice. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of with you guys. It's a decent episode. It's a fine episode. For me, it of course doesn't rise to the top. It's not terrible. It's a totally watchable, middle of the road episode of Batman the Animated Series. I think the idea is solid of a Arkham guard, security guard gone rogue is actually kind of a cool idea for a villain. I don't think they quite get the most out of it. It becomes a pretty formulaic thing of like, this guy's kidnapped some people. Batman and Robin got to go find him and defeat him. It becomes somewhat by the numbers, but it's not bad. I like the idea of when they try to create new villains. Obviously, Lockup did not catch on because this is the last we ever see of him, I think. But
actually,
I respect it. Go ahead.
Sorry, on that point, I meant to mention it before, and you'd be the one who'd know. Is this sort of the character that Michael Chiklis ended up playing in Gotham?
No.
No,
that was oh God, it wasn't this though. No,
because that's what it made me think of. Anyway, yeah, I just couldn't remember the Chiklis.
I can see the similarities, but he was like the executioner or something.
That's right.
Yeah. I think this Lockup was a one and done. Although I wouldn't put it past Gotham to have someone show up as Lockup, because you never freaking know with those weirdos.
Are my memories deceiving me, or did the opening credits of this film say that the story was by Dean, but two other guys actually wrote it?
Yeah.
That's correct.
You can kind of feel that, because if Dean had written the whole episode, I feel like a lot of these issues I have might have been resolved. Or been fleshed out a little bit better versus, no discredit to the two guys that wrote the final script, because obviously they're more talented than me because they're getting paid to do this. I just think that you could feel a little bit of Dini in it, but you just didn't feel overall like this was a Dini episode.
Yeah, I think that's it. Is like the idea is actually pretty good, and the execution is a little lacking. So so it makes sense that Dini came up with this idea. Two other guys took it and wrote it and worked out the details, and so it's not quite as good as maybe it could have been, should have been.
It didn't have the oomph.
Right.
One thing that kind of struck me as unintentionally hilarious was the suitcase when he was suiting up to go after Summer after she was kidnapped.
I forgot about that.
I'm just imagining like this restaurant full of people just watching Bruce Wayne take his pants off, and it's like, there's other people still in here, right?
Hey, to me that works just as well as a phone booth, man.
And is this the first time we've seen some kind of romance with Bruce and Summer?
No, there was no romance there, because there's only one woman for Bruce, Brendan. Only one.
Stop it! Don't.
You're winding yourself up. We all know it's Dr. Chase Meridian.
Scolded now.
Yes, we do.
I felt like the chain motif on Lockup was a little on the nose.
Yeah.
But
subtlety is not this man's strong suit, though, clearly.
It's true. So, anyway, it was aight.
Yep.
Trying to think if there was anything else. There's anything else I really want to say. I mean, Lockup, he got the best of Batman a couple times, though. So at least he felt a little bit formidable in that way.
Another thing that I thought was funny when Robin was quite quippy in this episode, but when he said forgot to pay a parking ticket and Batman just looks at him, that looks like the wind up to the slap meme. Like one more frame on that.
Anyway, anything else you guys wanted to call out on this one?
No. I think I'm done.
No. All right.
Episode
cool.
needed more giant action fighting monkeys.
It needed more monkeys. I completely agree. You're right. See, Jamie, you're coming around.
Mm-hmm.
This episode really suffered because Arkham Asylum didn't turn into a giant robot.
Obviously. Yeah. A building that's just a building, F this episode.
Ridiculous.
I want no part of it. They were on this huge ship and it didn't sprout arms. Forget it. All right, letter grades for Lock Up. Kevin.
Solid C+.
Brendan.
Yeah, I'm with Kevin. C+.
Jamie.
I'm a little stronger on this one. I think it's a flat B.
All right. I'm with the other guys. C+.
All right, fine. I'll go sit in the corner by myself. I ain't afraid to do it.
Go to your room. Yeah, it's a fine episode. So there you go. Lock Up. Another one down. Another one bites the dust. Next episode that we do, who knows when. It'll be a surprise, but it is Make 'em Laugh. As we get really close to the end of Batman the Animated Series. I didn't even know. That's amazing. I just felt like it would go on forever. But anyway, if you're following along, please do watch that one next. We appreciate that, and we also appreciate hearing from all of you guys. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to see what you all have to say as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. Mailman!
You said you'd come. Now let's hope you're not too late.
So that little intro, although not eligible for the contest, came from our very own. No, we don't. But it came from Brendan. Good job, Brendan. Woo!
Thanks. It's just a little bit of fun.
Little disappointed.
Why?
I don't know.
I was expecting a didgeridoo.
Kangaroo Jack, a didgeridoo. Yeah, come on, man. Come on. The hell?
I could have just done a huge Batman Forever mashup, but I decided against it.
I totally, when you said you sent something and it was going to be for fun, that's totally what I expected. It was like a montage of Batman Forever moments.
No, it was.
Thank you for
It was a
refraining.
serious one, but I could only do it for fun because I knew I couldn't enter the competition. So it was just a little bit of fun for me.
Well, thank you for... I'll take this over any Joygasm compilations. So yeah, thanks for sending that along. And everybody, guys, we have listened to all the different entries for the contest. We will announce the winner next episode. Jamie and I have got to review them all and choose a winner, but I will tell you it is really hard because you all did awesome. Not Brendan. Brendan did fine, but everyone else did awesome.
Son of a bitch.
Thank you for, not you, everything that...
Yes. Good job, everyone, not you, for putting in the work on the Wayne Manor mailbox. But no, honestly, like I was trying to listen to them all last night, trying to figure out like the finalists, and you guys, you stepped up big time. So even if you don't win, everybody's a winner because we love you. Even you, Brendan, I love you too.
Aww.
Don't tell anyone. We'll ruin my already worthless reputation.
I understood that reference.
Thank you. All right, so let's see what we got in the emails here. This is from Mark Jurasevic. It says, "Hey, Batcasters, thanks for an entertaining Avengers Infinity War discussion on your sister podcast. I experienced a myriad of emotions watching the movie and felt genuine excitement during many sequences of the film. It's been a great year for a fan of my two favorite superhero teams in the Avengers and Justice League. Both films were great. On another note, would you consider having an episode that rounds up your thoughts on this season of the DC CW shows and Krypton? It's been a great season for all the series, and it would be great to hear your thoughts. Thanks, Mark Vell." Mark, always nice to hear from you. Thank you for the message. Yes, on Real Fans for Real Movies, we did review Avengers Infinity War, and it was a humdinger.
That
I'm
was a
seeing the
doozy.
movie tomorrow, so I can't wait to see come home and listen to the podcast.
It's
I'm
overhyped.
more excited about that than I am the movie.
The podcast episode is so far overhyped, not unlike the movie itself.
Oh man.
No comment.
Woo. Well, yeah, thanks, Mark. It's been like 95% positive response to that episode, but it get a little crazy. Anyway, doing an episode on like a wrap up of the DC shows. Yeah, sure. I don't see why not.
I want 7 episodes on Black Lightning and 1 episode on all the rest of them.
I am 100% with Jamie on this.
That's too many episodes, Jamie. Don't be ridiculous.
All right, 6.
I'd be down for it.
But yeah, I like the idea.
I like
That's cool.
my CW shows still. I still like them all. And I haven't seen Krypton.
I tapped out on Krypton after episode 5. I can't do it anymore. If you guys out there like that show, more power to you. I'm done.
The only DC show I'm watching is Black Lightning, actually. I'm a little ashamed to admit.
Honestly, sir, that's the only one you really need. Some of the other ones have their moments, but that was...
No, Legends of Tomorrow. Thank you.
Legends was really good this year. Supergirl's been dynamite since it came back from a hiatus. Flash has been off for me this year, but I still enjoy it well enough. And Arrow is hot trash, and I'm quitting after this year.
Really? See, I reckon Arrow's majorly picked up, particularly the back end of this season. I'm loving it again.
I don't care for it at all.
I haven't watched that show in like 3 years.
If you stopped after episode 2, after season 2, you're okay.
The best season.
It was a good season. Well, there you go. We don't have to do the episode now. Jamie just took care of it.
Oh, well, all right. We're good.
You're welcome, Mark. All right, next message here is from Matt Malone. It says, how's it going, fellas? Thanks for your great review of Harley's Holiday and for pointing out my favorite part of the episode, Batman's compassion. His recognition of Harley's genuine attempt of being a law-abiding citizen was a great demonstration of his heart and humanity. Also, and Jamie will appreciate this, about 12 minutes into the episode when Robin uses fish as a weapon, the animators referenced Bruce Lee's use of eskrima sticks in Enter the Dragon. I included a time-marked link of Lee going ham with the sticks. Eskrima sticks, as you know, are Dick's weapon of choice as Nightwing in the comics. Whether it was intended or not, it was a cool nod to the character. Thanks for all your hard work and for such a great show. Keep it up.
At least
is it Eskrima? Eskrima?
I always called it Eskrima, but I don't know. It's Filipino stick fighting there. How's that?
Cool.
At least he wasn't using socks.
Amen to that.
All I could think of after we got off of that episode, honestly, was the thing in Dumb and Dumber where he has the dream sequence where he's fighting with the fish.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, yeah, thank you, Matt. Thank you for the message. This one here is from, oh shit, Jamie. It's from Ryan Johnson.
Uh-oh.
Let me tell you something. I got some words to have with you, but let me hear what you have to say first.
Coming for you.
Could be a different one, but it's
is it spelled R-I or R-Y?
It's R-Y, but he might be trying to throw us off.
No, he's safe. I can lower my blood pressure back down now.
It says, hey, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan.
Hey.
Thank you so... Hey, he's here. He's alive. Thank you so much for all this amazing content that you deliver time and time again. This is by far the best podcast I've ever listened to. Thank you. See, Ryan Johnson likes our show. Why you gotta be giving his movie so much shit?
I don't. I won't say anything about the movie.
He appreciates what we do. Why don't we appreciate what he does?
I love
what I do.
There. Okay.
Anyway, he says... Anyway, on to my question. Andy, how did you make the switch to digital comics? With my limited amount of space already jammed full, the ease of carrying my collection with me at all times, and the crazy sales that Comixology offers, I continue to see the benefits of switching to digital. The only thing that keeps me from switching is the physical presence of comics in my hands. Was it hard for you? Any tips, suggestions, or advice? Thank you for the time, Ryan from Minneapolis. So I didn't know Ryan Johnson lived in Minneapolis, but now we know.
Hey, if it's good enough for Prince, it's good enough for anybody.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the message. And yeah, I know we hit this rather often. And you already hit a lot of the things of why I love my digital comics. I love that it takes no space. I love that I can get these classic arcs on great sales at Comixology. Like when they have their sales, like Batman Day, oh my God, I stocked up. It was amazing. For me, I travel a lot. And so when I travel, I love that I can just load up my iPad with comics and take as many as I want with me and have plenty of reading material on the plane or wherever it is I'm going. All those things are such benefits. Comics look great in HD on your iPad. The whole like holding in your hands, I get that, but it's kind of like when you switch from CDs to digital music. You're still getting the same content. That doesn't really change. So I got over it real quick, especially as my long boxes filled up and just take up space in my house.
A true fan would carry a short box as his carry-on on the plane.
That's worth $70.
Yeah. I want a picture of you doing that, Jamie.
I never said I was a true fan. I just said a true fan would do it. And besides that, I don't get on planes.
I know you don't. So Ryan, and to be fair, as much as I love my digital comics, I do still buy some physical, because I want to support my local comic shop. And I split it up. I get a couple physical and then I get the rest digital. But, yeah, man, like once you just do it and get used to it, and you'll love it, I think.
Fun side note, I went to my local comic book shop today to get my stack for this week because No Justice came out. Boys, get on that. And as he was ringing me up, he's like, you've come up in conversation a lot this week. I was like, I have? And he's like, yeah, I use you as an example of people who say, should I be reading the Tom King Batman? He's like, a lot of people would say yes, but this one guy, he would tell you, don't do it. So.
This one grouchy sourpuss who comes in here every week.
I can't tell you how
he buys every book we carry, even the ones he hates, because he's insane.
I can't tell you how many times in the last couple months I brought up Tom King and he tells me, just shut up. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Well, you eventually kind of persuaded me over to your side of things. So
I can't help it. It sucks. What do you want?
For what it's worth. Anyway, Ryan, do it. Especially if you're like wanting to go back to older arcs or older graphic novels and you see them for $4.99 on Comixology, buy them. You'll get used to it. You'll love it.
I stocked up big time. I'm actually reading like an old Shazam trade from the 80s at the moment. It's such a good way to read comics. I love it.
It's certainly more affordable and convenient. I'll concede that much.
I'm still all physical because I'm a sap.
My boy, there we go.
Do you still buy CDs?
No.
I don't buy music at all. I rent it.
Well, there you go.
I do for bands that I like.
Yeah.
No,
my wife gives me crap because I still own a few CDs, but those are like limited edition soundtracks that aren't available digitally. And so I'm like, no, that's like my backup system, because if something gets screwed up, I have to be able to re-import it. But those are the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, same. The only time I get CDs are if they come with a collector's edition of something.
Yeah, because I've plugged it on here before. La La Land Records, man. They come out with these amazing multi-disc special edition soundtracks that are just awesome. And I buy a lot of them, but you can only buy them physically. So, like, I have no choice. If I want that soundtrack, or if I want that complete soundtrack, I have to buy the physical one and import it. But again, that's a very small part of my music collection.
Well, and we know the truth.
Same thing for comics.
Until your Batman playlist is a full week long. That's
I know.
Why you do this.
I'm surprisingly close. Anyway, okay. This next message here is from Braden McCoy. It says, "Hey guys, I've been thinking of more things I'd like to hear you discuss while re-listening to episodes of the show." Re-listening? Oh, you're glutton for punishment, man. He says, you've touched on Batman's Rogues Gallery quite a bit, of course, but you've surprisingly never given a definitive ranking of your favorites. I believe the closest thing you've done to ranking your favorite villains is the villain tournament that you did a few years ago. If you don't want to commit an entire episode to this, you could just cover it here if you don't mind. Also, are you going to review a few more episodes of Young Justice before Season 3 comes out? Or must you wait on a trailer before doing so? Thank you for the continuous entertainment that you bring to our ears. Hope you have a great week. Braden, thank you so much for the message. No, we have not committed an episode to counting down our villains, I guess. We could do that. That's a pretty easy one to do. I don't think mine would surprise anyone because I always say the same ones when people say, who are your favorite villains? So I don't know. I don't think there'd be much suspense involved.
I know who my number one with a bullet is, so...
Yes, Jamie, we know.
Okay, Mr. Freeze Riddler.
No one else likes Condiment King like you.
I was going to make that joke.
What are you talking about, joke?
Fair enough.
Jamie's got a tattoo of him on his butt.
Tom King's going to make a resurgence after the wedding, and Condiment King's going to be... He's going to get a 15-issue arc to explain he's the greatest Bat villain of all time.
But they're going to market it as like the last temptation of Mr. Freeze, but it's actually going to be about Condiment King, and he's going to trick us all.
They're going to turn him into the Punisher.
You know what?
My business is condiments, and business is good.
This hand to God, this would not surprise me if this was the next arc after the wedding. It really wouldn't.
Well, someone's got to cater the wedding. That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
He's got a point.
Yeah, I think that would be a fun episode. And then talking about more Young Justice before Season 3, yeah, I don't see why not. Because I know it's coming. Don't listen to Jamie.
There is no Season 3.
There is no spoon.
Yeah. All right. One last email here. It's from Ron Messbarger. It says, hey, Andy and Jamie, I've thoroughly enjoyed your guys' podcast and always look forward to new episodes. Thank you for all that you give Bat fans. On to my questions. Will Deathstroke versus Batman going on in the comics, it got me thinking, with Deathstroke versus Batman going on in the comics, it got me thinking, besides Batman, what other DC character do you think would make for a great series or fight with Deathstroke? And number 2, who do you think is the most overrated and underrated of Batman's Rogues Gallery? My answer for question 1 is the same as the most underrated, which is Bane, and most overrated is Penguin. Final thoughts? I don't know if any of you are HeroClix fans, but I'm super excited for the Batman the Animated Series set that they're releasing soon. It's about time. Thank you, Ron Messbarger. Ron, thank you so much. So, okay, questions. Who should fight Deathstroke? And then your most overrated and underrated Batman villains. Kevin, you want to start?
Oh, crap. I'm on the spot. Someone who would fight Deathstroke.
Who'd make for a great fight with Deathstroke?
Deadpool. No, I'm kidding. Jeez, I'm trying to think. Somebody. It's either got to be someone who's like very similar, that's like very combat heavy, or you go the complete opposite direction and have someone who's like very cerebral try and fight him. I don't know. That's a tough one. Just say Condiment King and move on.
Okay, and then overrated and underrated villains. Do you have any thoughts on that?
See, if I say a character is overrated, I think people are going to think I don't like that character, so I'm a little hesitant.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I certainly think Riddler is underrated. Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think he gets enough props as he should.
Cool. Brendan, what about you? Thoughts?
I'm really stuck on both, to be honest. In terms of a hero, I mean, Nightwing just comes to mind for me, but I think that's maybe because of the Teen Titans movie where he did actually fight him. I'm not really sure, to be honest. And underrated, overrated, I think I'd have to go with the Riddler being underrated, definitely. Overrated. That's a really hard question, because I think sometimes they can all be a little overrated. And I think it's depending on the version as well. I don't really have an answer for that one, to be honest.
Okay. Jamie?
As far as the physical matchup to Deathstroke, I would say either Orphan or Shiva. As far as the mental matchup, I kind of have it in my mind. I'd like to see Drake and Deathstroke go at it. I mean, we've seen Nightwing and Deathstroke go at it, which I wouldn't mind seeing that in a more modern setting too, outside of that movie, which I did enjoy. And Nightwing really needs something to do in his comics right now. But yeah, I mean, Drake going up against him, obviously we know Drake isn't, I mean, Drake even said in the Lonely Place of Living, he knows he's not the best fighter. You know, the other guys are always going to be better fighters, but he knew he was smarter than they were. So I think that would really play well into Deathstroke. There's no possible way he could stand toe-to-toe with Deathstroke, but can he outsmart Deathstroke? That would be really interesting. I'd actually really like to see that now that I've thought about it. Underrated villain, I got to go Riddler on that too. I mean, I think there's so much potential with him, and you just never see it play out to the degree that you see with so many of these other guys. And overrated, this is probably going to get me shot on sight when I set foot out my door tomorrow morning, but Joker. And it's not because I don't like Joker. It's just, my God, how much Joker do we need where these other guys keep getting shortchanged, like Riddler, Penguin, or any of these other ones?
I'm glad Jamie said it so I didn't have to.
Oh, I mean, it's a valid point. And that doesn't mean I don't love the Joker. I freaking love the Joker. The Joker's amazing. But, like, sometimes you need to give him a rest and let another villain step up. And nobody ever wants to, because he's too much fun to play with, and so we just get Joker.
Except for in the comics, where he doesn't seem to be a thing at all anymore, really.
Oh, he's coming back with a huge vengeance now.
Is this in Justice League?
With the whole no justice thing, and also with the they announced today Legion of Doom is coming back next month in the Justice League title. So I am like, whoa, walking around shivering with all kinds of anticipation for that. And
that's awesome.
He's right there at the forefront of it. I mean, the artwork image that they showed for what I believe is the cover is fantastic. It's got him and Black Manta and Cheetah, and I mean, it's gorgeous. I retweeted it off of DC Comics today, and it's great. So, you know, he's back there. He's coming back for the arc that leads into the Batman Catwoman wedding, which I hope he just firebombs the shit out of that thing and makes it never happen. So yeah, I mean, he's back with a vengeance right now.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not saying he's overrated. I'm just saying that, like,
overused.
He could be overused. Yeah, he could be used a little more sparingly. This is the problem with me going last, is I feel like you guys already kind of hit all the answers. I would have said Nightwing or Tim Drake as well. Just because I love those guys. and they're both people who would have to outthink Deathstroke. And then overrated, I kind of agree with Ron in Penguin. I've just never gotten into the Penguin. Like, I like having him around, but he's just never done it for me. But he's always been considered one of the biggies, and I just feel like he's never been a particularly big threat to Batman. So I've just never been a Penguin guy. So maybe I agree with that. Underrated, I agree with all you guys. Riddler. And I think that the problem with that is certain versions of the Riddler made him a little too similar to the Joker, and that did a disservice to the character. So I think that, you know, there's more to be used with him. But since you guys already said it, I'll also throw in Scarecrow. I think the Scarecrow's a little underrated. Mm-hmm. I think that you can use him better than just constantly dragging him back into Arkham at the beginning of animated series episodes.
Actually, you know who might be cool for Deathstroke to fight thematically?
Who?
Raish, the world's greatest killer versus someone who's virtually unkillable. Might be interesting.
Hey, can you guys hang on a second? I'm going to go upstairs and get my wallet to throw at that.
Oh. He likes that. All right. Anyway, thank you guys so much for sending in those questions. We do appreciate it. If you've got anything for the Wayne Manor mailbox, send those to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. Thank you so much for doing that, and thank you for downloading the show. It is always a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out with us. So, guys, it was fun talking Batman Ninja, a little animated series, a little randomness. We appreciate it. Kevin, congratulations on your first episode of Holy BatCast.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
And if the folks want to keep up with you online, where can they do so?
You can find me on Facebook. Just look up my name. I'm easy to find. I'm on Twitter sparingly. You can follow me at L3XF Cosplay, and you can follow me on Instagram at Level 3 X Factor Cosplay. And recently, I was promoted. I am a writer on a website called OutrightGeekery.com, and I was recently promoted to gaming editor. So I am in charge of everything video game related on the site.
Nice, congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very cool. Brendan, if the folks aren't following you.
You can follow me on Twitter at Lowy, LOWY007. Or the nightlight.podbean.com for the Nightlight episodes, which, you know, it was a while between drinks. We did one 2 weeks ago. I'm hoping to get another one out in the next week or two as well. So there's some content coming, but they're the places you can find me.
Great. Jamie?
You can find me hiding behind my couch cushions. You can find me... I don't know.
Where's this going?
Peeking through your window.
I'm still kind of undercover because of some of the reactions I got out of that last Real Fans for Real Movies episode I was on. Screw it. I'm on Twitter at BatRaider3960. I'm usually floating around most of the Real Fans groups, and that's about it. I don't have an Instagram or any of that other stuff. I'm too old for that shit.
There you go. And you can always find him here. And you know where to find me. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for downloading the show. Please do subscribe to the show. Please leave an iTunes review. That also helps us out. And most importantly, as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit us all over the internet at holybatcast.com, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, Holy BatCast. But that's it for this episode. On behalf of Kevin, Jamie, and Brendan, I've been Andy DiGenova. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Batman!
Perfect. This show is a proud part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. You can sample all the shows that are part of the network at rf4rm.com. Those shows include Real Fans for Real Movies, the original show that looks back at films past and present. There's also Holy BatCast, all about Batman and the DC Universe. There's Disorder, every Disney film that looks back at every Disney animated feature in order. There's Taking the Bullet, that looks at bad movies so you don't have to watch them. There's Please Rewind, the RF4RM retro show that looks back at older movies. And finally, there's Grim Grinning Hosts, a salute to all pop culture, but mostly theme parks. Again, you can check out all these shows at rf4rm.com or search for them by name wherever you get your podcasts.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
This is it. This is our one opportunity to defeat them and return to Gotham. Remember, the machines, no matter how large, are still controlled by humans. If we can defeat the person inside the machine, then we have a fighting chance. Aeon was right. I now understand the role I must play. I am no longer the Batman. I will be what the Bat Clan calls me. I will be their prophecy. I will be the legendary ninja who will bring peace to their land. I will be